Okay, we have a Monday night game going on. Baltimore is playing at New Orleans. New Orleans opened 3 and up to 4. Total went from 49.5 up to 50. If the Ravens, they come in off the bye week, but not playing very good. 1-2 the last 3 games. They had losses to the Bengals, 27-24, and the Steelers, 43-23. It's still a log jam there in that NFC North. Meanwhile, you got the third straight home game for the Saints, which is good news, but they lost the first 2 to the 49ers, 27-24, and the Bengals, 27-10. Sean Payton is now calling this a 6-game season. So Harvard, is it too late for that?
Well, no, not in that division. Can you imagine? Do you know who's leading the NFC South? Any idea?
The team we're talking about?
No, Atlanta.
Oh,
now, I haven't talked about them. I haven't played on them or against them. I think week 1 when they won right at the last, or was it overtime? But they beat New Orleans the first game, and they own the tiebreaker on them. And they're both 4-6. I mean, the league's going to have to do something. If you take a team from the NFC South and give them home field advantage over a team, I mean, these guys could be 7-9 or something like that and still get in the playoffs. That's absolutely ridiculous. The system needs to be overhauled. Baltimore is a team, and I'll be honest, I usually have a pretty good insight. A lot of it's psychological, emotional, situational, some fundamentals. I can never, ever tell anything about Baltimore. I have no idea when they're going to play, how they match up, or anything like that. They're 1-2 the last 3 games, and they get a bye. And now here I am asked to predict on something like this. How bad is New Orleans? Back-to-back losses with home games. It used to be the rule of thumb. Bet against them on the road, bet on them at home. Well, that didn't work either. And like I said, New Orleans, they did get a huge spike in life. I mean, they're sitting at 4-6, and they're on top of the heap. But let's do this. Let's look at this. Let's assume for this instance that New Orleans is going to win the game outright. Forget the spread for a second. They've lost back-to-back. Here's a team that rarely ever loses at home. I think 20 straight in a row, coached by Sean Payton, going into this last little fiasco. So assuming that they're going to win, there's only 2 numbers basically that are going to crush you. That's a number point spread, if they finish at 3 and at 4. Well, based on history of winning games 5 or more, they are 35-18 against the spread, which means they not only covered or won the game, but they covered the spread. And a lot of those spreads were 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-point games. So based that this is a smaller spread, and I only have to dodge 2 numbers, I am going to go back in history. I'm not a big trend guy or anything like that, but you have a history of 53 games where they usually forget about winning. They're usually covering the spread through those 53 games. Well, this is just to win by. So basically, I'm just looking at them to win by 5 points, and I'm going on to the next game. So let's put a check mark next to New Orleans, lay the 4.5, and they're not going to lose 3 in a row. So all they have to do is just win by a little bit.
Yeah, the Saints team has some phenomenal spread numbers at home, 37-19 against the spread, but they've been a baffling team. 4-6 straight up, 4-6 against the number for this season. 7-3 run over the total. The offense is terrific, although they do lose Brandon Cooks for 4 to 6 weeks with a broken thumb, one of their weapons. But it's the defense that really stands out. 19th against the run, 24th against the pass. They just laid an egg at home against the Bengals the last game. So, Zack, is home field going to be a big difference for them, or is this defense just regressing too much?
Oh, man. New Orleans is one of the tougher teams to talk about. I think on here I've been a hot potato with that division. Talked about New Orleans, talked about Carolina, and now this house is mentioning Atlanta's creeping back up in there. But overall, the division is awful. And
it's possible.
Just a tad.
It's just awful. So whoever gets in there, who knows something.
It's like winning a poker hand with 6-4 offsuit or something.
Yep.
It's incredible.
It's going to take Rob Ryan to hire his brother when Rex gets fired here in 2 weeks for that defense to take a turnaround. So we'll see if that ends up happening. But man, I think here I'm going to have to go with the total. Baltimore, they've still got some It seems like their offense just is up and down at times, but I think this will be one of the weeks Joe Flacco can have a field day for them, throwing that football around. They have an underrated tailback in Forsett that's been pretty balanced week to week. It's been much better balanced than their offensive passing attack. And then the Saints, of course, Sean Payton. I'm sure there's some sideline animosity going on right now with his defensive coordinator, obviously, so he might just go back to one of those old run and shoot games like we saw against the Green Bay Packers Sunday Night Football. So I would take the over 50 points at home Monday Night Football. And I hate to go off that trend. I've stayed away from that total on Monday Night Football, but let's take the over 50.
Yeah, this Andy Dalton of the Bengals had just one of the worst games of all time. Then he goes out and has a great game, and that's because he's facing this bad Saints defense. I will look at the total, too. You got two fine quarterbacks. They're playing indoors here. Ravens do have offensive balance, which they haven't had the last couple of years, but they're very good at rushing the football, 10th in rushing, 16th in passing. And then the Saints, I mean, they've got tremendous offensive weapons, but all kinds of defensive problems. The Saints are 5-1 over the total on field turf, so that's the way I will look at this game, a high-scoring shootout. All right, let's get to some best bets and what we have going on for the weekend. Harvard, we'll start with you.
Well, my best bet is going down to Texas to play the Houston Texans. Here, I thought J.J. Watt was just, really designed to crush offenses, with all his defensive efforts. Well, now they got him catching passes on the offense. He scored a touchdown last week. I thought that was great. Nice catch, J.J. Cincinnati, if you look at them, and I don't go by, memorizing stats and records and things like that, but it seems to me that in October they started off lose, and then they tied, and then they finally won a game. So they won a game in October, and then they won one, and they beat New Orleans, but it seems like they've had 2 wins since September. There's something wrong with this team. I don't know what it is or anything like that, but anytime there's a big game, Houston played Cleveland last week, and, the operative word was cruised. Just smooth sailing. They cruised past Cleveland on the road. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this team, offensive, defensive. Foster didn't even play. I think that they're going to smoke at home, laying the 2.5 against Cincinnati. I really think this Houston Texan team is they're solid. I like the coaching staff. I like what they do on defense, and I'm a big defensive guy. And I'm not a big favorite better, but I'm going to lay the 2.5 on this game. Now, your best bet after you play that one is probably to go to jimfeist.com. And I'm starting my rival week, 32 years of experience. The USC, UCLA won't get any better than that. Stanford, California, plus 3 other games. I got a 5-game package on my rival week. I rarely lose more than 1 game, so I'm going to guarantee, step it up a little bit. You'll be 4-1 or 5-0, or I will email you the games on Sunday and Monday, no questions asked. And I just did that last week, by the way. I only went 2-1 last Saturday. Those guys had the emails waiting for them. So get on board, get to jimfeist.com, and support the whole website and all the guys here that work so hard. And if you noticed anything, we put 3 games together every week, all 3 of us handicappers, and I think we're like 12-4, something with that. Our best bets on the show for free are stellar. But when you really get to see how we break down games as the week progresses, it's not so much about breaking down the teams and the stats. Those things are readily available. But when you have to start looking about where the money is coming in and following the money is power. That leads you to the cash window. And that usually doesn't start coming in until Thursday or Friday, well after this show is taped. So get to the website, get some of these packages. I know Zack's been on fire in the NFL. I've been following his plays. Hopefully he has a nice NFL game, and support everybody there. And thanks for watching the show. Appreciate it.
All right, Harvard's off that 4-2 football weekend, part of a 65-40 run overall since August 1st. Zack, you've been on a terrific run in football as well, including 33-10-1 in the NFL. What do you have for this weekend?
I'm gonna just keep it simple, stupid, as they say. You can't start changing your philosophy at this point of the season, so I'm gonna have my 4 to 5 plays in the NFL, standard as it gets, and then in college football, usually right around 5 to 6 plays. there's going to be obviously some good games in college football this week. We really haven't touched on that, but best bet, I'm keeping it in the NFL. I was going to say the Arizona Cardinals again, but I don't want viewers to get that from me for 3 weeks. My best bet of the week is going to be the Buffalo Bills, -4, -4.5 on some sites. But here's one of those games where I think people are going to think back to the game against
There's the weather report for Buffalo, if you can see that.
Yeah,
6 feet of
That's my son's car this morning, so it's still snowing.
Where's the shovel?
They don't use shovels. Barnharts don't shovel snow.
People are going to think back to the game they had a couple of weeks ago against Kansas City. They didn't finish the game. Against Miami, they didn't finish the game. But the thing with Buffalo is they've got a really, really strong defense, and I think that time for Mike Vick to fall on his feet is about to approach. Just like all Jets quarterbacks, what you see last is not going to last. So Mike Vick, he's at the downtrend of his career, obviously. I don't think he doesn't feel that management's going to bring him back, and obviously the Jets won't have the same coaching staff, so we're probably going to see a pretty good free fall happen here in these next few weeks. And Buffalo's defense at home is pretty solid. We saw them blow out the Jets just 3 or 4 weeks ago in New York, and Mike Vick played parts of that game. So he had, I think, 3 or 4 turnovers, and it was just a blowout. So I like Buffalo to bounce back. Kyle Orton needs to show me something this week, or he might be in trouble as well. But I think Buffalo will be able to run the ball, and the defense will give them points, give them a good 10 to 13 points in a sloppy game probably. But that defensive edge, I think, is going to help us get that cover. And sometimes people, when there's 2 sloppy teams playing, sometimes people will try to force themselves to think it's going to go one way, like they did a few weeks ago with Tampa Bay, Atlanta. Atlanta blew out Tampa Bay. The line was light in the Atlanta going to Tampa Bay, and what happened? Atlanta still won by 10 points. I think that happens here, but Buffalo, it might be a little more of a squeaker, but Buffalo will get this win by 6 to 10 points.
All right, my best bet will be Arizona, Seattle under the total. Make sure you check out JimFeist.com. We have that handicapper 3-pack on Saturday. It was another winning package Saturday with Michigan State and Oregon State. The one that just missed was the Miami Hurricanes. It was a 2-1 weekend, part of an 11-4 run with these handicapper 3-packs. You get 2 plays from these gentlemen plus Jim Feist, all 3 in one package. Check that out at JimFeist.com. All right, good luck with the games, everyone. That'll do it for this week, and we'll see you next week with another version of the NFL version of ProLine.